Hi, my name is Laura Denham, and I have learned so much in my political science class. Some of it being the basics, like how the government works, each position and branch in the government, and why it's important to the United States. But what influenced me the most was how the media affects public opinion, as well as public opinion in general. On that note, I've interviewed individuals ages 11 to 92 to get their take on politics in their lifetime. Please enjoy.
Probably Barack Obama, because he helped a lot of gay and lesbian marriages and gave them more rights to things that they didn't have before. And also he helped end a war in Iraq, I think, something like that.
So my favorite president in my lifetime, I would have to say Barack Obama, because when he was elected, it was just a big shock to the world because it was the first African-American president. And in his two terms, he just initiated a lot of change, and he stood as an example for a lot of minorities and to prove that they can make it to the top and be a president for the United States. So that's why he is my favorite president of my lifetime.
The 44th president, Barack Obama, and the reason why is because he saved the Great Depression. He also saved the auto industry, and so that's why I'm real partial to him. And the most important part, he had no scandals.
Well, I have a couple actually. I liked Mr. Reagan because of his foreign policy, and I liked Mr. Clinton because of his domestic policy and his ability to work across the aisles and work with the Republicans and the Democrats to form legislation such as welfare reform.
Favorite president is Roosevelt, and why? I could list many things, but I think the main thing was that he was after the little guy. He wanted to bring the United States back to where it had proper fooding, proper jobs, and out of the possibility of war. I think that's the main reason.
Probably the Black Lives Matter movement. That was very big. And yeah, I'm not really sure what else to say on that. It's just very big how things have just that just happen. And yeah, so I'd say the Black Lives Matter is probably the biggest political change in my lifetime.
The biggest political change in my lifetime actually happened 2020, 2021, where the U.S. government issued the all U.S. citizens the stimulus relief checks. This was a big change because, as far as I know, ever, and especially in my lifetime, there hadn't been a moment where the government had helped each and every citizen as much as they could by sending them help via checks. So the recurring stimulus checks is something that I never expected our government would do. And now I feel like it's just opened a big door, a wide door of possibilities that, if there's any other national emergency, that the government has the power to send us help in forms of money. And I feel like, I'm grateful for what we got, but there's so much more money that we could have got, for all this time that the pandemic's been around. But definitely the stimulus checks are the biggest political change.
When they legalized gay rights, and the Clinton administration went to the military and said, don't ask, don't tell.
I think the advent of the PACs, the political action committees, and all the money that they get, and the local legislatures, the congressmen and senators, are beholden to the PAC for their money to get re-election, and I think that's a real bad way to govern. They don't worry about their districts, they worry about their government PAC or their PAC money coming in.
The ones that we see, it's hard to tell you right here, because the ones that make the most difference are usually the ones we don't hear about till long afterwards. We hear 3 or 4 years later that there's been a change in the government. But I think the changes that are beginning to go right now are the ones I think that are going to make us financially safe in the future.
I'd probably like to see ambulances either costing like little or like whatever that they gave you your treatment. So like if they give you like little treatment, you shouldn't have to pay like thousands of dollars. You'd only pay what you got for like what you got. I say this because this girl fainted and she had to pay $5,000, and all they did was take her temperature and tell her to drink more water. And I just think you shouldn't have to pay $5,000 for that if you can do that for like very little money at your house. So that is why I think that lowering the price on ambulances is a big change that should happen in the government.
Politically, I would change the fact that, you know, our two parties, the Republican and Democratic, far left, far right, you know, whatever you want to say, I feel like nowadays when big acts get passed or big decisions are made, that it's really, you know, the more votes on one side over the other side wins, and if one side disagrees with the other side, it doesn't really matter, because as long as they get more votes, they're right. And I feel like there needs to be a lot more of a compromise and a meet in the middle kind of thing where, you know, as much as the left doesn't like something, as much as the right doesn't like something, they can at least agree on one thing that could better the American citizens, because at the end of the day, their decisions are impacting not only them, but everyone else in the country.
I would change the way they look after our senior citizens, because I feel that senior citizens work hard, you know, the hard worker ones who have always been employed. And then when they become senior citizens, there's not a lot of programs for them. So I think they tend to forget about them. They work, they have health insurance, and then of course once they get out of the working world, there's no health insurance. They have to take up Medicare, and then they have a doctor that they've been with for 30, 40 years, and the doctor doesn't take Medicare, and then they have to go to someone else that they don't trust. So I think the government needs to just keep a good eye on our senior citizens.
Is that I think we should limit the amount of money PACs can collect from corporations and individuals. And I think then we should limit how long the political season is. This last presidential race lasted like 2 years. I think Canada has a 30-day limit on running their political elections. I think something, maybe 2 months limit, would also then limit all the power of these PACs, because they wouldn't have the time to spend all the money.
In addition to women being paid adequate wages, or at least same wages that would pay a man with the same job, we've got to get back into manufacturing everything that we need to sustain our country. And we're not doing that right now. We have to at least, not necessarily feed the world, we have to at least be able to feed our own country. We should do that. We should increase, again, as we used to in Roosevelt's days, make what we needed in our country were made here. Now we do not do that. We depend from our friends in other countries, and we've got to turn that around.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and got to learn a lot about public opinion throughout the generations.